So moving on to the big race on day one, it is the Champion Hurdle, and at the moment Honeysuckle is 5-2 favourite, Epatante is 7-2, 4-1 Goshen, 12-1 Abracadabras, who somebody on this panel fancies, as we've been told earlier on, 16-1 Sharjah, 15-1 Silver Streak, and 20-1 former two-time champion Bouvardaire. So we're going to have to come to you first here, Diarmuid, because this is going to be very, very good. You think Abracadabras is going to win the 2021 Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, I've already on Honeysuckle, as the Racehour listeners will know. We're obviously massive Honeysuckle fans. We put her up on this panel last year to win the Mayor's Hurdle as well. We were just massive fans of her. But I think the pace of this race is just an intriguing puzzle to try and pull apart. You know, you've got Goshen and Not So Sleepy, first of all, who would be the first two. Obviously, Not So Sleepy probably won't last up there all that long, I'd say, with Goshen. But then you've got Song for Someone, you've got Jason the Militant, you've got Aspire Tower, you then have, as well as that, you've got Honeysuckle, Epatante. An awful lot of these horses really want to go forward, and you have an awful lot of pace on here, really, really strong pace. And for me, first of all, that's going to help Honeysuckle massively. Honeysuckle 5-2, don't get me wrong, that's still a good price. She carries in the best form here. But I think there's some horses in training in Ireland who prefer racing over in the UK, and it's not the accents, it's pace and ground. And I think that there's been a long-term running of this kind of trend, let's call it. You've got Special Tiara, Put the Kettle On, Jesky, Melon. You've got an awful lot of horses who didn't do much over the winter in Ireland, and then went to Cheltenham, and their form just went up. Look at Abracadabras' record.
I like where you're going there. Yeah, I like this. You're going well.
So, like, Abracadabras' whole career, champion bumper, fourth, a serious run. You know, they've got time ahead of him. His next best run was when he had something to aim at again, which was in Ireland, but it was at Fairyhouse. He finished just behind By Allen, and behind him was Darver Star. Then his next biggest run was in the Supreme, when he probably should have won that day. Shishkin had enough go against him, but he was a bit of a sitting duck coming to the last, and Shishkin could just be a freak. But the way he travelled through that race was unbelievable. I don't believe this season that Abracadabras has had one race that's actually suited him. I think he fell in the Morgiana because he had the tactical speed to get into the right position, jumping the last hurdle, that he was just in the right place at the right time. But he's a good knack of that. I'd forgive him the first run in Down Royal. Aspire Tower beat him, but he was given Aspire Tower weight that day. And Aspire Tower, for me, kind of got away with him. Rachel set brilliant fractions, which Rachel is obviously just amazing at doing. And, you know, Jack couldn't get back into it. He was sick at Christmas. And then last time in the Irish Champion Hurdle, Rachel Blackmore injects pace into that race 3 out. And Irish races are very open to that when it happens. David Mullins did it on Kenboy, Flooring Porter at Christmas. When a jockey injects pace mid-race in an Irish race, because there's such tactical affairs, it can blow a race wide open. So whilst Honeysuckle for me is the most likely winner, there's just a tiny fragment of blood in the water where a tiny bit of me doesn't believe what Honeysuckle kind of did that day, as much as I absolutely love her. I think Abracadabras had nothing to pull him up towards Honeysuckle. He ends up chasing Honeysuckle off a slow pace. It doesn't suit anyone. Jack Kennedy is a hostage of fortune on this horse. And anyone that says that Abracadabras has to be held up, that's just not true. He really doesn't. He sits off a pace all the time. The only reason he ends up at the back into Supreme early is because David Russell does that trick of his where he goes to take an extra turn and the horses actually side on when they go off. So like Abracadabras sits off the pace. He will be able to travel off this pace. I see it that he'll sit behind Epatante and Honeysuckle, I'd say, might be the third wave, just behind the kind of second wave of them. I think he'll be able to travel with them. Honeysuckle is going to be very hard to pass, but I think if any horse can quicken, because the rest of them that I've mentioned there, Jason the Militant, Aspire Tower, Song for Someone, they have to try and maintain a gallop with Goshen, who I don't think has any chance, by the way, on the old course on good ground. I can't have Goshen at all. But the rest of them have to try and maintain a gallop and then outstay Honeysuckle, who's a 2.5 mile really special mare, giving her £7. The only horse for me who can do something different is Abracadabras. And Sharjah as well, but I think Sharjah's been there. He has enough goals now at the Champion Hurdle. I think Abracadabras is the only one bringing something slightly different into this race. I think he prefers racing over in the UK. He'll prefer the better ground. I think 12-1 about Abracadabras is huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, but that was very impressive then, fairness. That's something I'd say you were practicing all day, were you?
No, not genuinely. I've said this enough on the podcast over the last few weeks. I think that's.
My God, do you know what? I was kind of, and to be honest, I was kind of an Abracadabras fan, and then I'll tell you my problem with Abracadabras is I can see all those points, and as you're saying them, I'm going, yeah, God, he's right about that too, yeah. And at the end of the day, my only fear is that he's just not good enough.
That's a very valid fear, and it could get to the point where I was happy to give him excuses all season because, the clock backs up that the pace just hasn't been in those races. But if he goes to the Champion Hurdle, he could get to Honeysuckle and just not be good enough to go by her. So, I'm on Honeysuckle, but I think at the moment, at the price, I think Abracadabras is the one that could improve as well.
Well, Diarmuid, you should be very proud of yourself because you made very valid points there. So well done. Donn McClean.
You're a good boy, Demo.
Very condescending there, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. No, because I was expecting to ridicule you. And I couldn't ridicule you after that argument, so fair play. Donn McClean, Honeysuckle, look, I've given up taking on Honeysuckle because the amount of people I've told, she's a fraud, she's a fake, she's going to get found out someday. Yeah, Hatton's great. No, she'll get found out in Hatton's Grace. No, she'll definitely get found out in last year's Irish Champion Hurdle. I know I said she'd get found out in last year's Champion Hurdle, but she'll definitely get found out in this year's Irish Champion Hurdle. She just keep winning that. So why would she not just keep winning at Cheltenham?
I've never really taken her on, David. I've never been really with her properly either. But look, she's unbeaten. We don't know where her ability ends, really. And I think she even did something new in the Irish Champion Hurdle. Like you, I thought 2.5 miles was a thing. The Mayor's Hurdle was 2.5 miles. The Hatton's Grace, the Hatton's Grace hurdles, especially last year's, and she was so impressed, was 2.5. And 2 miles in the Irish Champion Hurdle, I thought she was vulnerable. But to do what she did, that to me, it moved her up again. She was top of the pops, and to win the Irish Champion Hurdle like that, just to blow it apart like she did. Even to watch it, the way she quickened on the run to the second last, flew the second last flight, pricked her ears, and went on again. It was brilliant to watch. The only shame was there was nobody there. There was nobody back in the winner's enclosure whenever she came back in. She'd have got some reception now when she came back in.
I gave her a clap, in fairness.
Yeah, I gave her a clap too. But that was the day that the 3 Willie Mullins good things had won the first 3 races. And then they all rolling up onto her. She would have got some reception at Blackmore as well. It would have been. Anyway, they weren't there. But look, she was that good. And she could do it again. She's got course form, albeit over 2.5. I definitely have her in front of Epitant, who, I know she's the reigning champ, but she does have to bounce back after run the last day in the Christmas Hurdle. I know that she will bounce back, but I just think Honeysuckle, they both get £7. I think Honeysuckle is a better mare. But I've backed Abracadabras. I agree with a lot of what Diarmuid said for all the reasons. Yeah. The Supreme Novices Hurdle last year, that was a hell of a run. It really was. He was done no favours at the second last either, not least of which because he was left in front. And if you watch it again, Shishkin wasn't travelling as well as him going to the last. They both quickened. And Shishkin actually got past him. And, there's a bit of talk about him not getting up the hill. He was actually coming back at Shishkin going to the line in the last few strides. So it was a massive run. He hasn't had a good ground. And it was even soft ground that day, which it's going to be probably better ground for Champion Hurdle Day this year. He was a second slower than Epitant in the Champion Hurdle last year only. So I think he shouldn't be a 12-1 shot. Look, he's not the most likely winner of the race. I think Honeysuckle is the most likely winner of the race, and that'll be brilliant. But from a betting perspective, I still think that the 12-1 of Abracadabras is valued. A lot of what Diarmuid said, I fully agree with a lot of that. It's going to be a hell of a pace. There's an awful, Goshen only knows one way. As far as her, he likes to lead. Jason Militant leads, and he's a player as well. Actually, I thought he was impressive the last day. But I think Abracadabras, he's the overpriced horse in the race for me.
Wow. Of all the things I expected tonight, I didn't think the first 2 people that come to the Champion Hurdle preview would be tipping Abracadabras, but both have made very valid points. Dean, are you going to make it a hat-trick for Abracadabras?
No.
I suggest not.
No, I'm not going to. But the 2 lads would have Eskimos convinced they needed to buy more snow, wouldn't they? With that, but fair play. Abracadabras is probably overpriced at 12-1. But will it win? I don't think it will win. I think Honeysuckle what happened in the Irish Champion Hurdle was a level that I didn't think she could actually get to. In fact, myself and Dem on the Racehour pod, we committed treason by actually going against her for that race, which we've never done before, which, you know, we egg on our face, but happy to have it in terms of her career. What she did there was just super, super special. And it just showed you, I think, that Henry had her, you know, probably not quite peaking, which he should do as a trainer, peak for the big pig days. And he didn't have her quite right, I think, when she got home in front of Ronald Pump, although she still did the job. She looks better than ever, and we really don't know what the ceiling is. I think Rachel can probably do what she wants as well on Honeysuckle. So I think Honeysuckle will win. So I got to stay fair, and I think we've seen chinks in the rest. You know, Epatant's let the side down a little bit, and Abacadabras was well beaten there the last day. Goshen is the one that could surprise everybody, and people are easy enough to write it off. There's been some disappointing runs. There's been a time between drinks as well, isn't it? But that last run, I thought that was pretty good, and I'm not surprised that there's been so much positive vibes about it. It'd be great for the Moors as well if that could happen because of what happened last year in the Triumph. So I wouldn't begrudge them pulling this off, but Honeysuckle should win. Okay,
so it's a pretty confident vote for Honeysuckle for Dean Ryan. God only knows where Mikey Fogarty is going to appear from now. Could be the bathroom, could be the kitchen. Mikey, are you decent?
All right, David, I'm here.
Oh, you're on the couch. That's all right. You have your clothes still on. That's good. What's going to win the champion hurdle, Michael?
First of all, Diarmuid Nolan's what he went through there, I thought was very good. So well done, Diarmuid. Yeah, I'd have to give you that. Cooper tells me you're from Kerry, are you?
I am, yeah.
Whereabouts?
Carsavine.
Right, I don't know Kerry. Anyway, Kerry lads looking out for each other.
What was the point of the question there, Mikey?
I didn't know. I thought I might know, but I don't know Kerry that well. I
thought he was going to say Enniscorthy.
Maurice Fitzgerald's from there, Mikey.
Oh, I've heard of him.
You have.
He could make the ball talk, that fella. Yeah. And O'Neill's. Wait one. Yeah. The champion hurdle. Yeah, I agree with the lads. And
which ones they disagreed? Dean went for Honeysuckle
and Donn there, but look, I feel I was like you, David. Honeysuckle get bet, but she keeps winning. I just felt the last day they went steady, and she stole it from the back of the third last. Like that flattered her a bit, but she still won. Look, I genuinely don't know, and it's a race. I think I agree with them that they're going to go too hard up front, and Jack Kennedy could mooch into it. But if I had to pick a ride, I'd pick Honeysuckle. The £7 is massive, and she bet Benny the Do, who's one of the best horses in Class Sutton. So I just think if I had to pick a ride, as long as Rachel can just not be put on her head too much, and her jumping holds up for the last 3 hurdles, I think she'll win.
Okay, so 2 votes for Honeysuckle, 2 votes for Abacadabras. David Mullins, what wins the 2021 champion hurdle?
Interesting there, yeah. I'm completely. You could back Abacadabras, lads. Diarmuid, fair play to you. That was a great short story. You're right in a way. He has a lot of ability. I think he has as much ability as any of them. But this horse is a monkey. There's no question about it. If I thought you'd have seen that a mile off. He ran out through a wing in a bumper in Leopardstown for no reason with Lisa O'Neill. He nearly ran out through the outside wing in the bumper coming down the hill in the Cheltenham bumper. He hit the front too soon last year in the Supreme Novices when it was handed to him, and he stopped. He tried to turn around in the Morgiana this year. His full brother Magic Tricks turned in and Punchestown on the bridle, and went to do a UE in Punchestown there maybe November. I think this is a family of monkeys.
A ringing endorsement for Abacadabras, ladies and gentlemen.
I agree with you, Diarmuid. I think you could make excuses for him till the cows come home. He has plenty of ability. You see that, but he gets beat, and he gets beat by different classes of horse. Fair enough if you only get beat by Shishkin half a length or whatever, or I could get beaten half a length, I think. So,
sorry, Mikey.
I don't agree with him.
Top of the Ra.
Yeah.
So, David, Abacadabra is a monkey and won't be winning the champion hurdle, but what will?
The way Honeysuckle done it the last day, Mikey said he thought she stole the race from the third last home in Leopardstown on soft ground. That's 6 furlongs out in Leopardstown in Grade 1. If you can steal a race from there, you're better than Arkle.
I wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't. You must have been riding in it. If she stole it there and someone stole the race in the third last, there was only one person that she could have stole it from. And that was you, Mike.
Well, there was a couple of lads in behind, and they should have got a run on. They got a run on a few behind. Diarmuid, here, David Jennings. Diarmuid.
I'm listening. I can hear you.
Diarmuid Nolan gave us he's spot on about the whole race, and I think if there's any more factual knowledge that we get tonight, it'll be some performance to get better than that.
It was like Roald Dahl, wasn't it?
I was going, what is this guy going? What's he going on about? And then I was going, yeah.
It's one of them ones where you start off and you go, geez, I'm going to make bits of him now when he's finished. And by the time he's finished, you're going, geez, he's after making bits of me there.
Yes.
So we have 2 votes. We have 2 votes for Abacadabras, and we have basically 3 for Honeysuckle. I'm just going to throw Aspire Tower in there, who isn't good enough, I don't think, to win a race of this caliber. But I think you'll see a career best from Aspire Tower. Puppy power rides. I think 20-1 each way about Aspire Tower. If he can get back to the sort of form he was in at the early stage of last season, I think he's a very good horse. See him running well and maybe sneaking a place. But I agree. I think Honeysuckle is going to be very hard to beat.